So today we've got some interesting information regarding Season 2 for Battlefield 6, which is now launching next week, finally, and a bunch of gameplay change details that, on paper at least, sound like the developers are going to be changing Battlefield 6 quite significantly. The extension of Season 1 and the delay to the start of Season 2 was put in place by the dev team to allow them some more time to implement important fixes and changes. And of course, the beginning of Season 2 is going to bring us new content, but the patch that comes along with it is going to bundle in a bunch of work that's been done by the dev team over the last month or so to fix some of the more pressing matters and the important gameplay features that aren't working properly right now. That includes progression changes, updates to challenges and missions so players can unlock those gameplay items they haven't got yet, and an entire pass on weapon recoil. So I've got all the details in this video today, and we're going to get right into it. Drop a like on the video to support it in the YouTube algorithm, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for my Season 2 coverage, which will kick off, well, very soon. Let's put it that way. So to start with, the blog post that we had dropped last night gave us a little bit of a tease of what Season 2 is going to contain. The first of 2 maps, Contaminated, will be dropping on day 1, and featured heavily in the Season 2 cinematic that's now live on the Battlefield YouTube channel. That's playing in the background of this video too. This map is set in the German mountains, and it takes place on a now captured airbase. The blog states that this map has loads of flanking opportunities and different pathways. It also states that later on in the season, more variety is coming with a new high-intensity map and a limited-time mode that will require players to battle through an underground base covered in darkness. That sounds interesting. What's not so enthralling is that the blog only alludes to 2 new maps. And I've said this a million times already, that's not enough. Season 1 only had 2 new maps, and now Season 2, despite near constant community feedback that more maps are needed for this game, is following the same path. Battlefield 6 players deserve better content support than 2 maps per 3-month season. Old Battlefield games that use the DLC model, they delivered 4 maps per 3-month DLC. That precedent was set all the way back in 2011, and here we are in 2026 with now half the meaningful content that we used to get. It's just not good enough, and it leaves these seasons feeling like they are very empty. It's no wonder that the game has seen such a sharp decline in player numbers. It's because there's not enough content to keep these players entertained. But we do have some significant gameplay changes to talk about though, and this is the main reason Season 2 was delayed, to make sure all of these elements were fixed up and working the way the developers wanted them to work before dropping them with new content. So first of all, we've now got a full fix to the recoil inconsistencies that the game has had previously. In the past, Battlefield 6 required more input from players than was necessary to control recoil, and this is something that many players noticed. Inconsistent gunfights just after launch led to a consistent feeling something wasn't correct. This is now being properly rectified after a band-aid fix was applied a little over a month ago. To go with this, the team has also taken the time to work on an entire weapon balance pass for automatic weapons. That's going to better define their role clarity, and it now ensures that weapons feel appropriately distinct from one another. After the recoil and bloom fixes that plagued Battlefield 6's launch, lots of players felt like weapons had lost their identity. So it sounds like the devs are trying to bring that back now that they've fixed the underlying recoil issues. Next, we've got even more audio improvements. This has been pushed even further to improve reliability during matches, and now includes clearer cues for movement and interactions. You're likely to notice the improvements when you're in full movement or interacting with in-game elements, with better handling of how different sounds overlap each other. One important point is that there appears to have been a rework of the audio priority system to make sure critical audio elements actually play during busy combat scenarios. The devs have said they'll continue to work on all of this post-Season 2 launch. They'll monitor to see if things are working properly and make adjustments if they need to, but they feel this is a good step in the right direction beyond just cranking the footstep audio, which is what I think they did around the launch of the Snow Empire State map late last year. Player movement is being refined in this update, with additions to make movement more predictable and readable in fast-paced situations. The team have tuned the acceleration curves when moving into sprint, smoothed out vaulting and ladder animations, and fixed visual issues that could result in some unexpected behavior when moving around in close quarters. Now, this all sounds like visual fixes to movement when you're looking at enemies that are on your screen, which has been one of my biggest complaints about Battlefield 6 so far, actually. Oftentimes, you're going to look at an enemy, and it doesn't look like they're looking at you, but then suddenly their movement all happens in like fast forward, and they flick through various animations, and then they're just shooting at you and you're dead. So hopefully smoothing all of these animations out will help, at the very least visually, which targets in your vision are the ones that pose the biggest threat. We're going to talk a little bit about networking and TTK later on in the video. From Season 2 onwards, there will be adjustments to the Battle Pass progression, mainly that in Season 1 it felt like an insane grind, and that you were indirectly punished for not making Battlefield 6 your second job and playing it every waking second to unlock cosmetics that really are just there to distract you from the lack of real, tangible content in the game, like maps. Sorry, got a little bit carried away there. What I meant to say was, the Battle Pass grind was too great in Season 1, so in Season 2, the team's just going to tune down the grind and recalculate how Battle Pass tokens are earned from general career XP. So that means you'll be able to progress the pass more quickly via just playing the game, as well as through the weekly challenges on top of that. And the last of the challenges and assignments that weren't fixed in the previous 4 or 5 updates will be fixed for the launch of Season 2 to make sure anybody that hasn't completed them will now be able to do so and unlock core gameplay items. The challenges have been reworked to remove high emphasis on mode-specific challenges, and the team have expanded the criteria within them to allow assists to count towards daily challenges. Now, looking beyond Season 2's launch and into the future, there are several areas of the game the dev team will be working on, trying to improve and solve issues for. The first is a commitment to hit registration and netcode, trying to make that better. Battlefield and netcode are like 2 peas in a pod at this point. There's just something about the Frostbite engine and getting things to feel like they're snappy and reactive. It's just been a constant issue for DICE and now Battlefield Labs since the dawn of time, it feels like. Battlefield 6 suffers from a lot of death behind cover and around corners. You get super bullets that result in one-frame deaths, and then enemy players that just become bullet sponges, taking so much damage and you getting hundreds of hit markers, but you not being able to take that player down. From past experience with Battlefield 4, this isn't a simple fix. I went through that entire process of that game, and it took a long time, and it was several updates before it really felt better. But I do have to say, why is this a problem again in Battlefield 6 when we've had arguably the same issue fixed in previous titles? Can those previous learnings not have been used when making Battlefield 6 in the first place? I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the answer, and I'm probably very ignorant to what it takes to actually fix this thing, but why are we experiencing the same issue again over a decade later? I'd love to know the answer. Other issues that are being tracked and fixes being continually worked on are further recoil reviews, general visibility across all the maps in the game, the ping system for map locations, and additional audio improvements. A lot of these changes will end up being tested in various Battlefield Labs builds over the course of Season 2 and beyond, and I'm just going to tack on to the end there is an entire vehicle gameplay redefinition happening in Labs, and that's in conjunction with the Golmud Railway testing, which I'll talk about in a second. And something specific to Battlefield Labs in the near future, the team is going to be testing an overhaul to the TTK, or time to kill system, with a focus on improving combat readability and consistency. According to the dev team, their goal is to require stronger aim accuracy and firing discipline in order to achieve the fastest time to kill. And to achieve this goal, they're going to be looking into areas such as limb multipliers, headshot damage, and the cost of different ammunition types that enhance the effect of headshots in the game. So it seems the dev team saw that video from Enders and Nickel BF, because this sounds exactly like the solution that was proposed by them. And then we've got Golmud Railway to talk about. This is something that I can't show you footage of because it's being tested in Labs, it's behind an NDA. Who do we have to speak to get rid of that NDA for Labs? I just think it's ridiculous at this point. But hey, we'll move on. Yes, Golmud has been tested in Labs already, and apparently the feedback has been positive, despite the map not being a one-to-one copy/remake of the original from Battlefield 4. Work is being put in to adjust the map to a 2026 standard for Battlefield, increasing the amount of cover for infantry to increase the interplay between infantry and vehicles, creating a more combined arms experience, and that comes in the example of building out the northern town area of the map. More Labs tests will be conducted on Golmud with a view to the map arriving in a future season. So, not Season 2, which would have been ideal, but likely in Season 3, where I sincerely hope that it's a map in addition to several other maps, not just a map that's going to arrive in place of another new one. So as I'm sure you can tell from my general tone in this video, that despite the upcoming season delivering much needed gameplay updates that should actually improve how Battlefield 6 plays, without more maps and locations to play on than what we're getting, Season 2 is largely just going to play out like Season 1. We'll see players return for each new map, and then retention will just drop off. So if any devs or decision makers are out there watching this video, please reconsider your entire content strategy moving forward, because 2 maps per season is just not good enough. We know Battlefield 6 was the best-selling game of 2025. You guys made a big song and dance about it, so start acting like it. Produce some actual content for this game. Maps, locations, and biomes, they're the #1 piece of content that this game needs, followed by plenty of new weapons, gadgets, and vehicles. That's your Battlefield bread and butter right there. Maps and weapons. And less of this limited time fluff. Less bonus paths that don't really respect people's time. Actually have a focus on real, tangible content that people can play. Alright, I'm done complaining. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you soon.